Oh, Seven Citizens, Black here from Casa Black Gaming. I hope you're having a great week. With 3.18 expected to drop any week now after some last remaining bugs are worked out, that has been preventing it from going live. It's looking more and more likely this patch is making changes that have more people excited than ever to get into the verse and play. I know I'm excited and looking forward to making some progress with my character and stature in the verse, as even though I have been testing since Wave 1, it's still not the same with progression having been wiped with each new test release pretty much weekly. But what about those players who might have tried the game in the past and not really felt like it was the right time for them to play? Maybe the bugs were a turn off, and while I would love to say that the game is 100% better as far as there being no bugs that can completely screw you over, I cannot say that. There are still plenty of bugs out there, but I do have some news on stability and how it affects your ability to play. So while there are definitely plenty of things that can go wrong while you're playing, I wanted to present 10 reasons that I think the game is worth coming back to, especially for 3.18. Now, we all know that with 4.0 and Pyro coming in the next year, that will be a huge lure for people to come back, but I still think 2023 and this patch in particular are reason enough to come on back to the verse. And those of you on the fence about coming back, I hope this list will perhaps nudge you in the right direction. And for those of you who have not put any money into this game yet, you need to be on the lookout for a possible free fly event coming either with the release of 3.18 or shortly after, since we have seen some hints that this might be the case. Now, if you've not created a Robert Space Industries account yet, then please feel free to use my referral code in this top right corner of the screen, as it can help you earn free in-game items, and depending on the current offers and the past couple of free flight events, have actually netted new players an extra new ship to fly as well. So be on the lookout for that. And before we get to the top 10 reasons why I think you should come back to the verse for 3.18, if you wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, and also commenting on this video, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you found this useful or need more help as a new player, I have plenty of guides to help you get the hang of the verse, along with ship reviews and loadouts to help you find the right components and weapons for your playstyle. Okay, that was a mouthful. Now let's get to the list in no particular order. What can I say about persistent entity streaming that has not been said in a few episodes of Inside Star Citizen already? For those of you who don't know, it's one of the single biggest new tech innovations so far in Star Citizen and is the foundation for every upcoming system in the game, touching on pretty much every aspect of every system, which is why this update 3.18 has taken more than 6 months to get out. This allows things like items and ships in the verse to be persistent on a server after a player has logged out. Fill a crater up with Pico's stuffed animals, and others can fly to that spot and find them long after you're gone. Go out to an NPC outpost and still see player and NPC wrecks there long after they've died or been destroyed. This system makes so many things possible in the game and makes decisions more meaningful and changes how everyone will play Star Citizen going forward. Yes, there will still be some issues to work out after this update goes live, and more than likely there will need to be adjustments throughout the rest of the year as more players test the limits of what this system can do with servers now that they won't wipe every week due to a new test version. But it will be exciting, scary, and interesting to see how things go, and I'm glad to be a part of it, and I know it will be a blast and only get better. Now this goes hand in hand with persistent entity streaming, because now ships have a 70% chance to be disabled instead of just exploding when the ship's life reaches 0. Soft death means the ships you are traveling in that come under fire will not just be disabled, and you, the pilot, are able to at that point defend your ship from would-be pirates who want to break in and steal your cargo. This one change alone creates so many new opportunities within the verse for not only pirating, but also search and rescue, and soon to be towing and ship repairs as well, not to mention the ability for salvage players to come along and scrape those holes for resources. Soft death is one of those changes that almost seems like a non-feature at first until it happens to you and your eyes are open wide to the possibilities. Now, the first phase of the new cargo refactor is not everything we want just yet, but it's still a positive step in the right direction and allows things that the aforementioned soft death to be more interesting in regards to our cargo. Before this refactor, cargo was lost when a ship was attacked and brought down to 0 health. Now there's a chance to get some or all of your cargo back, even if your ship is destroyed, because that cargo will now persist either on the ship or floating in space where the ship was, or if you lose your ship while in Atmo of a moon or planet, that cargo cargo will now spill to the ground. Again, the amount of recoverable cargo will be determined on if the ship is completely destroyed versus soft death, but it's still more than we had before. The future cargo refactor will include more of the loading and unloading aspect, which will become more of a manual process when you are buying cargo for trade. We will have ship tractor beams sometime after the summer and freight elevators at stations as well, so you have a lot more to look forward to this year with cargo. But this is a great start and a good reason for those who enjoy trade or pirating to come on back to Star Citizen. For many who have tried Star Citizen in the past, especially as a beginner, there can be nothing more frustrating than trying to do something simple like cargo missions, only for the turn-in not to work or some of the packages to bug out and not allow you to be able to proceed with the mission, thus you'll have to drop it and start over. There are also various other mission bugs that prevent players from being able to complete other mission types such as comm missions or even mercenary missions where NPCs can disappear or be trapped behind a wall. Well, there's good news, as one of the devs took it upon himself to seek out and try to vanquish mission bugs, in particular for 3.18 and beyond. He himself is a fan of the cargo missions and has been let down by their performance, so this person has been assigned to making life better in the verse for all trying to just do simple missions. So far with the missions I have attempted in the test server, I have seen some improvements and look forward to trying out more and actually succeeding at them on a more regular basis. One of the main things keeping so many new players from joining the verse is the heavy toll it takes on an older PC. Good news for 3.18 is that the Gen 12 aspect of server performance enhancements is now complete, but not yet optimized, but still there is a chance that many players will already start to see some improvements. Vulkan is the next big step to make the game perform better on CPUs and GPUs and should usher in some vast performance gains as well as the continued optimization that is going on now. Even though there was more work to be done, it's still worth giving it a try to see how your specs hold up, especially during your free flight event if you do not own the game already. Now, one thing to note here is that free flight events are usually the worst time to see how the performance handles, as the game is flooded with so many new players at that time that it can make the game run abnormally sluggish. But if you already own the game, then hop on in when it's not a free flight event if performance has been the sticking point for you. Many of us, including myself, have seen some modest performance gains throughout the verse and look forward to even more over the next few months as they bang out more performance enhancing improvements. One of my absolute favorite parts of this update is the addition of close to 30 new colonial outposts around the verse. We started out with 4 new ones added to Microtech last summer, which limited how much loot or NPC interactions you could have, with everyone sort of fighting for those same 4 spots. But now, with outposts having been added to virtually every moon and planet in the verse except for Crusader, we all have many more options for emergent gameplay, with missions being added to these outposts along with the NPC ship reinforcements that arrived after you do, which adds a whole new element of gameplay and places to go out for loot. There is also a new larger derelict outpost on Daymar that houses a larger handcrafted outpost that is sure to be a hot spot not only for players to do missions in, but also for some player pirating as well. The Stanton system has certainly gotten a lot more dangerous with 3.18 and is a great reason to come back if you found the old verse to be depleted of places to go and explore. Now, so far, I've mentioned quite a few new pirate-related gameplay loops introduced into the verse, and there's more than those I've already mentioned, one of the main ones being the newly improved Korea Security Outpost, which is now the only place a crime stat can be cleared, making it the go-to spot for players on both sides of the law to head to, whether you're hacking off your crime stat or trying to help the security forces retake the station. For criminals who want to take the station and can hold it after killing off a boss officer, you will have access to confiscated loot that spits out at intervals that can be taken and sold to increase your profits. Features like this are why many are calling this the pirate update, so if that floats your boat, then come on out to the verse. Now, how many times have you received a crime stat for some incidental issue that caused you to wind up in prison and thus ruined your play for the night and might have caused you to just rage quit? Well, I've got some good news for you. Crime stats 1 and 2 are now something you can clear just by paying a fine at many of the stations around the verse. Any murders will, however, give you a crime stat 3, so you will still have to go to prison for killing your fellow citizens. Sucks, don't it? But at least while in prison, there are some changes that make everything from having more to do to clear your crime stat or even escaping much better and more enjoyable, with some sandbox elements making the play much more enjoyable and worth sticking around for. Now, while I was creating this list, I got to like number 4 and I was like, oh crap, do I even have enough items for this list? And then I remember racing and was like, hot damn, how could I have forgotten one of the biggest surprises of last year? The racing improvements came out of nowhere. Not only did we get an official track, but we got official tracks. Yes, plural. There are 7 of them now, and no, I have not been to them all yet. Not only are there 7, but there's also a new racing profession system that allows you to rank up to open up those 7 racetracks by competing for the best time. The bare minimum times are set pretty decent, and depending on how good you do will depend on your reward tier. It's fun with decent money making opportunities and will be expanded more later this year, with more work being done for the next few months, and something I swear to get better at. The long delayed feature is finally here and is implemented well, but lacking. This is not the salvaging that so many players are looking forward to, which would be extracting actual ship components from the ships themselves, but baby steps here. The first iteration allows you to use either the new Vulture or the old multiplayer Reclaimer to salvage solo or with a crew. Yes, it's just hull stripping so far, but missions are also on the horizon along with vehicle munching. It is still an opportunity to do a new gameplay profession, even if it is limited for now, and it's also introduced a new word into our routinely posted hopes that has so many more players hyped, and that is crafting. These ships have a station that allows you to use the materials you scrape off to craft yourself a multi-tool and tractor beam attachment, as well as a salvage head to do some hand salvaging or repair if you need to. It's also a very early look at crafting, but as more and more word comes from devs, we are hearing the crafting word tossed around a lot more now. Anyway, if you've been waiting on salvaging, now is a good time to come on back to the verse to get your junking on. Now, while I did think it would be hard to come up with 10 items, I did have various other features that, while not fully fleshed out reasons alone, they make for some additional reasons to really understand just how much bigger an update this is. And even though some of these are just some early iterations, they are already being worked on to be more fleshed out in the next update or two, and will not be something that requires tons more work or time to see to make them useful. So here are those random new items. We've got new rivers that make their way into the verse. There's a new one near Lorville and another one on Microtech that offers up a nice canyon look. We can definitely expect some more rivers, as the dev known as River Guy has made it his priority to expand rivers in many directions. New caves have been added into the verse, with more variations on the way. These new caves are an improvement over the old ones, and even though they do not have minables or missions there yet, work continues on them, and I'm sure the missions content team are already working on making them worth going to. We also get 2 new ships in 3.18, the Vulture salvaging ship, as I mentioned earlier, and the newly announced Scorpius variant, the EMP Quantum Jammer ship Antares. We haven't got all the info for this new ship yet, but it's already ruffling feathers and will surely still be a big hit, especially for pirates. A new out of left field feature was announced last summer, that being the Greycat PTV go-kart racetrack. I tested it out a little bit, had some fun, but did it solo, and I'm sure this will be more of a good time for orgs and multiplayer fun events than anything else, although we might see it take off with some sort of competition level events at some point later. It's fun and did not take much work, and I appreciate it being there. Arena Commander quality of life updates is another niche sort of update, but with how much they are expanding this feature over the next few updates, it's something that I will actually start to heavily use, as it will allow us to be able to practice racing on the official inverse tracks a lot easier without having to grab our ship, fly to the moon, start a race every time we die. You can just play them all right from within Arena Commander. This is game changing. Platform Assault on Orison is a way for the very nice event area that was introduced last summer to be reused on a daily basis to perform some missions there as you like. Having another bunker style mission to do with multiple objectives will give those players seeking more FPS missions something to do. 3.18 is not the only cool thing to look forward to, but in May we should see the future 3.19 update, which promises some exciting much needed changes to mining, not to mention a new player experience, the Lorville Cityscape revamp, some new salvaging missions I talked about earlier, and more PvP opportunities with a new Ghost Hollow mission set. Alright, that is going to do it for these 10-ish reasons for players to come back and give Star Citizen a shot. This update truly is one of the largest updates the game has had, and while many will say it's taken way too long to get into our hands, it's still finally almost here and well worth another look, or a first time look if you have been on the fence about joining the verse. The game still has a long list of features that needs to be added, not to mention more systems to also be added, as in star systems, but there's plenty to do in the only planetary system we currently have, and more than enough to completely wow you. Now, if you're a new player and looking for some direct help, I run a Discord where I and others on my channel are happy to answer any questions you have, and if you're looking for an org, well, might I suggest Northfield, which I am a part of, which is also the footage you have been seeing now for their latest trailer. This org has a medical, industrial, and security division, and soon to be racing division as well, so they pretty much have you covered. They are a good group and happy to help with no pressure on your time, and can introduce you into a totally new aspect of Star Citizen, which to me is where it shines, that being multiplayer gameplay. Anyway, thanks for watching, and remember to be kind to your fellow gamer, enjoy all of the things the verse has to offer, and stay positive citizens.